What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Fossett, and today we're checking out the Olivera from Strymon. Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this demo and review of this really cool delay pedal from Strymon. This is the Olivera, which is based on the old, underappreciated, not very well understood oil can delays, which came out in 1959 from Telray by the man who would eventually start Morley. And if you see the pictures of them, some of the really, really early units, they look like something you might see out of like a mechanic shop. Really interesting delay that was very quirky. And what I like about this is they've captured it. Now, I say that as someone who's never played an oil can delay, and I bet many of you probably haven't. It's not exactly a very common effect that's out there. But I feel like I have, and I say that because having played and owning a bunch of Strymon pedals, I know how meticulously they replicate things. I know what kind of level of dedication they have to recreating some of these really cool effects that are no longer around for the rest of us to try out. What I like about this one in particular from that regard is that this is almost like a love letter to the history of effects. And the other time I've kind of gotten that vibe was with the Deco, which is another one of my favorite pedals. The Deco and this, seeing the attention that they put into just really figuring out what created these sounds, what kind of effort went into creating these sounds, what technically went into creating these sounds, and then figuring out a way to recreate it so the rest of us can use, I think is it's really cool. Now, when it comes to functionally, what's neat about this is it acts in some sort of bizarre ways. It has a unique tone, but it's actually all still very, very usable for, many of what we all want from kind of a cool delay that's just enough outside the box that it's not the same old thing that you've played again and again, but it's not so wacky and crazy that it's only for experimental music. Now, one of the words that I heard to describe the tone of this is syrupy. And I thought that was perfect. You could also say greasy, you could say oily, you could say all of these things that sort of describe the nature of the original effect as it is. It's got this sort of soft warbliness to it. It's for a less slick word, it's got almost a pillowiness to it. So when you play, it kind of adds this ethereal goop around your note, which gives it cool texture, but doesn't necessarily overpower it. You can certainly turn it up like crazy if you want to, but it just adds a lot underneath your note where you're not washing yourself out, but you're making it much more interesting. And particularly with the modulation, which you've got rate and intensity controls for, it's neat that you can add that in. So it's almost like you still have a clean, dry signal, but something modulated going on around it, as opposed to just kicking on a modulation pedal. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with that. Now, when it comes to the quirkiness, for instance, there are some very, very inconsistent and wacky repeats that this will do based on the mechanics of the original effect and how the original effect worked. There are little things like if you turn the repeats all the way off, it still somehow repeats. Again, kind of goes back to the mechanics of the original unit. But when it comes to functionality, it's usable. You can actually really play into its quirkiness, and you can use it musically and functionally and experimentally, or you can just use it to create a cool tone and not sort of feel like you're completely yanked in one direction or another. Now, adding to that versatility, you've got two heads to bounce between or blend. This has stereo functionality. This also has a JFET input preamp, which makes it super, super low noise. So what I want to do now is go back and play a bunch of tones in this that I found inspiring. Today I'm using a Fender Stratocaster, and I'm going into a 57 Tweed Deluxe. So let's check out some more sound. All right, that is the Olivera from Strymon. It's just really, really cool. I'm super thrilled to have this and to be able to bring this to you. I do want to say thank you to Strymon. They sponsored this demo. They sent me this, and again, excited to have it. Now, you also have controls for expression and MIDI. This has USB capability, so like you would expect from Strymon, there's so much under the hood that you can really dive into, and you can get a ton of functionality out of this. And again, you can get experimental, or if you're someone who's not into that, you also just have a really good, I don't want to say straightforward delay, because again, it's got a quirkiness to it that you need to get used to, but the controls are all basic. The controls are all straightforward. You can plug it in and just get a good sound and not have to read a lengthy manual. So I've always liked that about Strymon pedals in general. There's a lot you can dive into if you want to, but you really don't have to in order to get a good sound. So I'm going to link below to where you can pick up this pedal. It's an affiliate link, so feel free to use that link if you're in the market for any gear. That helps support me. Again, thank you to Strymon. Please let us know what you think of the Olivera. Let us know, have you ever actually, I'd be really curious to hear from someone who's ever actually played a real vintage oil can delay. I think it would be cool to hear, what your thoughts are. What did you think of the original unit? What do you think of how this stacks up against it? So if you're one of those people, please leave that in the comments. I'm Jack Fossett. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
It's not fair to tell you, you'll heal with time. You carry a burden in your heart, wounds from the past won't fully heal. Reminders of the pain you faced, they're real. Judging